Bonsoir Christobi, est-ce que vous nous entendez? Alors, on a l'impression qu'il y a un petit problème, mais nous y reviendrons de toutes les façons. On va donc poursuivre l'édition de ce jour, parlant toujours du sénateur décédé, le regretté sénateur von Victor Emmanuel. Et je vous l'annonçais tantôt hier, il a été élevé au titre de dignité de grand cordon de la valeur, de l'ordre de la valeur à titre posthume. C'était lors d'une cérémonie de dernier hommage rendue justement en son honneur au palais des congrès à Yaoundé, en présence du représentant spécial du chef de l'État à Tanganji. Ce reportage de Bo Elvis.
Cameroon's upper house honors Fon Emeritus V. Mokete for his contribution to the country's political and economic scene. The late eldest member of the Senate who passed away on the 10th of April was honored Thursday evening by the Vice President of the Senate, Abubakar Abdullahi, in the presence of the personal representative of the head of state, Paul Antanganji.
On behalf of the head of state and by virtue of the power of the House, we raise you posthumously the rank of the Grand Cordon of the Cameroon Order of Merit.
Born in 1918 in Kumba, Senator Fon V. Mokete, who was once Federal Minister of Research and Information in Nigeria, played a primordial role in Cameroon's reunification. He was a man of great courage and integrity whose life embodied his convictions.
Rentrons donc à Kumba où le cortège de la dépouille, comme je vous le disais tantôt, vient d'arriver. Bonsoir à vous Christobi. Un petit problème de technique. Je vous le disais tantôt, le corps du sénateur von Victor Emmanuel vient juste d'arriver à Kumba et on n'arrive pas depuis un moment à avoir notre correspondant qui est sur le terrain pour nous dire exactement ce qui se passe de ce côté-là, mais on y reviendra certainement avant la fin de cette édition. Rentrons donc dans l'histoire de cette figure emblématique qui a été décorée hier au titre de l'ordre de la valeur du Cameroun avec Blanche Peldrin.
Victor Semisongo Mokete was born on November 15, 1918 in Kumba, Meme Division, southwest region of Cameroon. He did his primary education at Government School Kumba from 1926 to 1932. He then traveled to Nigeria, where he continued his studies from 1933 to 1947. He equally attended the University of Manchester, England, from 1948 to 1951 and Cambridge University from 1951 to 1952. From Victor Mokete started his political career as a federal minister in Nigeria. He was then Minister of Research and Information from 1958 to 1959. He later returned to Cameroon and was chairman of the Cameroon Development Corporation, CDC, from 1960 to 1982. He He was sworn into the Cameroon National Assembly as a judge of the Court of Impeachment, after which he became a member of the Economic and Social Council and Vice President of Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, Mines, Industry and Crafts. He was equally paramount ruler of the Bafor people and author of a book titled My Odyssey, a book bearing the story of the reunification of Cameroon. Before his demise, he was oldest member of the Cameroonian Senate, who more than once advocated for equality, bilingualism and diplomacy in the country. His death was announced on April 10, 2021, following an illness. He died at the age of 103. He starts his journey beyond this Friday, May 28, 2021, and will finally be laid to rest this Saturday, May 29, 2021, in his native land in Kumba, southwest region of Cameroon. He was a father and ruler who will be remembered for contributions in fostering a peaceful and united Cameroon.
Allons-y du côté de Kumba avec notre correspondant ou envoyé spécial Chris Toby. Si cette fois-ci on peut l'avoir. Bonsoir à vous Chris Toby.
Eh bien Audrey, je pense que cette fois-ci est la bonne. Je disais tantôt que la foule que vous pouvez apercevoir derrière moi est juste en train de démarrer comme ça la grande veillée et qui va nous conduire jusqu'à demain matin pour les témoignages, la messe et l'inhumation officielle du chef émérite des Bafor, dont la dépouille mortelle est entrée dans la ville de Kumba il y a environ 1 heure. Et après le tour dans certaines grandes rues de cette cité verte, capitale économique de la région du la dépouille conduite dans l'enceinte de ce palais royal. Après quelques rites traditionnels effectués dans cette enceinte par les 9 notables et d'autres chefs traditionnels des Bafor, la dépouille du chef supérieur émérite a été conduite maintenant dans la grande salle de réception du palais, et c'est dans cette salle que le désormais feu Fon Moukete va passer la nuit, la dernière probablement physique, avant demain matin, qui va certainement voir le programme venir à sa fin avec la messe qui sera dite ici même, des témoignages, puis l'inhumation officielle de celui qui jusqu'ici, ou bien jusqu'à un passé très récent, à savoir le 24 avril 2021, était encore le monarque des Bafor. Le sénateur Victor Esimisongo Moukete s'en est allé, d'où l'hommage rendu ici, malgré les quelques menaces des personnes dites séparatistes qui invitaient les uns et les autres à ne pas mettre le nez dehors. Ils sont venus massivement, déjà à l'entrée de la ville, au lieu dit Barombi, ont décidé d'accompagner le monarque jusqu'à son palais, le palais qu'il a vu naître, le palais qu'il a régné comme chef supérieur de Bafor, et le palais qui le reçoit pour la dernière fois avant qu'il ne rentre dans les entrailles, cette même terre qu'il a vu naître pour aller vers ses ancêtres. Ici, Kumba, ici, Chris Toby, envoyé spécial My Media Prime Television.
Merci à vous, Chris Toby, et merci beaucoup pour ce compte rendu. Vous l'avez donc entendu, la dépouille est donc arrivée tout à l'heure et il sera inhumé demain 29 mai en présence, n'est-ce pas, des dignitaires traditionnels. Voilà, donc autre chose à présent, de nouveaux morts sur la route, 7 morts et 24 blessés, c'est le bilan d'un accident de circulation survenu hier sur la route national numéro 5 pour cause d'un engin lourd serait entré en collision avec un bus de 30 places. Le récit de Fon Quinta.
7 persons have reportedly lost their lives following an accident which occurred along the Douala-Bafoussam Highway, precisely at Kombi Village, Mungo Division, Lithora region of Cameroon. Reports say the accident involved a 30-seater bus belonging to L'Original, the Bambutus travel agency, and a truck transporting brewery May 27 at about 4 p.m. Survivors say the 30-seater bus heading to the west region from Douala collided with the truck transporting drinks after attempting to overtake 3 vehicles. At the time of the accident, 5 persons died on the spot. Meanwhile, 2 others died in hospital, one at the Monkupe Hospital and another at Banga District Hospital. Victims of the May 27 accident are currently receiving treatment at medical facilities in Banga subdivision. The accident along the National Road number 5 comes barely 48 hours after another accident on the same highway at La Falaise Nchang, which left 5 people dead and several others injured. Road accidents have become recurrent, especially on the National Road number 5. It should be recalled that 5 persons reportedly died and others severely injured in an accident at La Falaise on Wednesday, May 26, coming few months after about 52 people perished as a passenger bus collided with a truck transporting fuel. These accidents have raised brows, with many questioning the competence of road safety agents, while hoping transport officials take stringent measures to curb the number of road accidents on our highways.
Rentrons dans le sud-ouest où les acteurs de l'enseignement secondaire de ce côté-là ont examiné des moyens pour le bon déroulement des examens officiels. C'était au cours d'une assise de l'enseignement secondaire et divers chefs d'établissements scolaires de la région présidée par le gouverneur de la région du sud-ouest, Bernard Okalia Bilay. Le reportage de Clarisse Ekowe.
Gathered at the conference hall of Lycée Moliko Boya, these are secondary education pedagogues drawn from the Southwest region. The purpose of this conclave was to examine and suggest better ways of ensuring a smooth conduct of the end-of-year GCO level and A-level examinations across the various centers, as the Southwest Regional Delegate for Secondary Education, Hannah Etondebua, recapitulates.
Training sessions have been held and they'll still hold in the days ahead to get all stakeholders ready for the exams. You'll notice that in most of our campuses where we have accommodation centers, the campuses are already being kept clean, the labs and all other specialized rooms are being prepared. And so we are sure that the Southwest region is ready for the exams. What we are doing today is to cut the T's and to dot the I's.
In this light, much is expected from these secondary education stakeholders, as the Southwest Regional Delegate for Secondary Education further bolded.
If they work with the local administrative authorities, they work with all other stakeholders, we're going to guarantee the security of our candidates, our questions, and our scripts. And so we expect that collaboration, we expect vigilance, we expect alertness, and that they all should remain focused, because whether we like it or not, every examination session has its own challenges. There are not 2 exam sessions that are the same, and so we call on them to be very focused, to be very alert, and to communicate in the case where they need to communicate, and to the right persons.
During the second secondary education sector meeting, presided at by the Southwest Governor, Bernard Okala Bilay, he commended these head of schools for their resilience and efficiency in boosting the education sector of the region, despite the threats brought about by the insecurity still rocking some parts of the Southwest region, and which has forced many schools to close, coupled with the recent outbreak of the global health crisis. Meanwhile, anti-COVID-19 kits were handed to some principals of schools and cash prizes from the Ministry of Secondary Education and Chochi Ewumwe Monono as recognition for their hard work in taking the secondary education sector higher.
Des membres du conseil traditionnel et du comité de développement de la communauté Wonyanango de Bokwango, c'est à Boya dans le sud-ouest, ont été nommés à de nouveaux postes de responsabilité. Nomination par le pasteur en chef de cette communauté, Oscar Teke, les appelant ainsi à l'unité et à favoriser le développement de cette communauté. Clarisse Ekowe, une fois de plus.
Among the numerous developmental goals of Chief Pastor Oscar Teke of Wonyanango Village is the desire to have a well-organized and God-fearing Council of Elders and Traditional Council who will assist him in rebuilding, reuniting and developing the Wonyanango community. It was in this light that some members were installed into their post of responsibilities during this ceremony that held at the chief residence and presided at by the representative of the TO for Boya. Among those installed were 10 members of the Traditional Council, 6 Council of Elders, and 11 members of the Development Council.
Yeah, first I want to say I thank God so much for what has happened this day. That the Traditional Council, the Council of Elders have been installed. You know, there was a council that was operating in this village. But after the installation of the chief, we thought it wise that we should shovel the council, bring in new blood to see how the village will grow from strength to strength. They go into the field for us to see how, by the end of this year, 2021, we should be able to say we have about 50 to 100 houses here in Wonyanango. That's my dream. They should go back and do what they need to do.
Chief Pastor Oscar Teke further revealed that pieces of land will be allocated to youths who trace their origin to the village, who have plans to join hands with the newly installed to develop the Wonyanango community.
I would not love to see my subject out there, maybe chased because of house rent, which we have land that they can just come and put in maybe a little structure and then they stay in their village. So I want to call on them to come. Those things that are out there is here in the village. We have the milk and honey here in our village.
The event also saw the inauguration of a well-equipped secretariat. It is worth noting that, amidst the numerous challenges plaguing the village, it has been able to realize some projects such as electricity supply, mapping out of streets as well as boundaries of the village, and a football stadium. Meanwhile, other projects on the pipeline will include the drilling of 2 boreholes, the supply of pipe-borne water, markets, schools, to cite but these few.
Dans le but d'ouvrir une nouvelle voie à l'endettement, le président de la République, son Excellence Paul Biya, a changé ou modifié la loi des finances 2021. C'est la substance d'un décret signé le 26 mai dernier autorisant le gouvernement à solliciter un emprunt de 1100 milliards de francs CFA pour le compte de l'année 2021 en cours. Ce reportage, suivez-le. Dans un décret signé le 26 mai 2021, le président de la République, son Excellence Paul Biya, a modifié les dispositions de l'article 49 de la loi des finances 2021 en insérant l'article 49 de la même loi. Désormais, le gouvernement camerounais sera autorisé à solliciter un emprunt de 1100 milliards de francs CFA pour l'exercice 2021 en cours. Il s'agit respectivement des emprunts de 350 milliards de francs CFA et 750 milliards de francs CFA qui vont servir à assumer les engagements financiers nationaux et internationaux du Cameroun. En gros, le chef de l'État fait recours au marché financier international pour honorer à ses engagements financiers nationaux et internationaux. En effet, selon les données compilées par la Caisse autonome d'amortissement, la dette publique camerounaise a cru de 4 324 milliards de francs CFA entre 2016 et 2020, passant de 6 010 milliards de francs CFA à 10 334 milliards de francs CFA sur une période de 4 ans. Une situation qui semble inquiéter les bailleurs de fonds tels que le Fonds monétaire international. La communauté internationale commémore chaque 28 mai une journée mondiale consacrée à l'hygiène menstruelle. L'UNICEF estime qu'en Afrique, 66% des filles ne disposent pas d'une bonne information sur la menstruation avant d'être confrontés à leurs premières règles. Cette journée initiée par Wash United en 2014 vise à rompre le silence et à diffuser l'information pour une amélioration meilleure sur l'hygiène menstruelle. Notre reporter Bokengo Wodi.
Commemorated under the theme Action and Investments in Menstrual Hygiene and Health, menstruation is a monthly struggle for all women and girls worldwide. The monthly condition that comes with involuntary hormonal changes such as mood swings, loss of appetite, diarrhea, nausea, fatigue, constipation, bloating and more is highly stigmatized and treated as a taboo, with challenges that surrounding it being many than one.
May 28 is a menstrual hygiene day, and the theme for this menstrual hygiene day is action and investment in menstrual hygiene and health. Menstruation is very significant and is very vital in the life of all girls and women. It is a precious gift. It is a normal biological process, but many girls and women still face a lot of challenges and issues about their periods. Lack of access to sanitary pads, lack of information to proper menstrual hygiene, lack of awareness about menstruation, and lack of dialogue, because menstruation is seen as a taboo.
However, for most women and the girl child, menstruation is not a problem. Poor menstrual hygiene is.
As a menstruating woman, you should change your pants, change your sanitary pads at least 3 times a day. Move with it in your bag. Let your pants, your sanitary pads be in your bag wherever you are going to. So don't give an excuse that I'm not in the house, I don't have a pad with me, so I cannot change. You know fully well how offensive menses can be. If you don't get to change your sanitary pads and pants often, these are the breeding ground of infections, of bacteria.
According to CLEAT's Cameroon project coordinator, mothers have a huge role to play.
I urge every mom out there, every young girl, every woman who has a daughter to make it as a point of duty to let them know that menstruation is not a taboo. Menstruation is our right.
On World Menstrual Hygiene Day, health organizations and NGOs worldwide work even more to seek and provide better solutions to menstruation, encourage menstrual hygiene, and advocate against menstruation stigma.
Et c'est par ce reportage de Bokengo Wodi que nous mettons un terme à l'édition de ce jour. Madame, Messieurs, merci d'avoir été des nôtres. Retrouvez tout de suite après Koum Leonard et ses panélistes pour Prime Art. Sur ce, bonne soirée à vous et bon week-end.